Have you ever had a poison apple? Was it poison? Right. Right. Oh my god. That was horrendous. Horrendous, love. I'm so sorry. I needed some sort of intro for this, and I thought about that almost an hour ago. Anyways, hi everybody. Welcome back to Real Small Talk. My name is Morgan, aka Moreo. On today's episode, I'm finally doing my very first movie review. Yes. Here's the thing, y'all. I feel like as everybody does, I love watching movies. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is, I'm not like some sort of like movie connoisseur. I'm not like a film connoisseur, or like I'm not going to be talking about movies that are going to be definitely like Oscar winning or any. No, I love bad films. I love bad PR films. That is my cup of tea. I love cringy films. I love fun films. Like, literally, what is one of my favorite movies? Angus Thong's Imperfect Snogging. Hello. Aaron Taylor Johnson was in that movie. Hello. Yeah, like, I love bad movies, bad teen rom-com movies. XO Kitty, such a fun watch, by the way. Hello. Bridgerton. Well, Bridgerton I have my mixed feelings on that. I'm definitely gonna do something on that show sometime soon. But yeah, I love bad films. I have a good time when I watch bad films or bad TV shows. It's always a good time. All right. Anyways, today's movie review that I'm going to be doing on is Snow White 2025. So if you are really under a rock, you don't know what Snow White is at all, go watch it if you want to. But the story is about the queen is jealous of her stepdaughter, Snow White, of her beauty. So she organizes, or she puts the huntsman to kill her stepdaughter, Snow White. Doesn't end up happening. She finds out that she's still alive. So the queen magically turns into herself into an old hag. An old lady who brings an apple, a poison apple. Snow White eats it, dies. And then the prince comes and kisses her, and happily ever after. Period. And yeah, just side note, when Snow White ran away from the huntsman, because the huntsman's like, run, go, I won't tell the queen anything. She's in the woods, she gets lost, and then she finds a house, and it ends up being the 7 dwarves' house. And she's living with them, she's kicking it up with them. Point blank period. Anyways. So before I start getting into everything, this next section, I'm going to get into the bad PR and controversial photo. Like, just the drama behind Snow White. And then I'm going to get into the pros and cons and my overall thoughts on the film. So, yeah. The first controversial thing, or the bad PR, is Rachel Zegler trash talking on this film. Or on Snow White, the story, right? She was basically saying that, oh, she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's going to be the true leader she truly is, and all that stuff.
That is not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
The thing is that with Snow White, right, here's the thing, I completely understand what Rachel Zegler was trying to say. Because, yeah, it is an old-timey story of falling in love, or like the prince is saving the princess, right? Again, somewhat understand, somewhat don't, because, and you could hate me on this if you want, it doesn't matter, but Snow White, the animated film, the storytelling was like that back then. With, oh, yeah, the guy saves the girl. Like, that was the storytelling back then. And I'm not going to trash people who like those kinds of stories. I get it. I'm one of those girls too. But most of the time, like, if I had to compare all the Disney princess films, Tiana, Tangled, and Mulan are my top 3. Because I like how they have independence. That's not just about a guy being there, right? But I'm not gonna trash people who like when princesses fall in love with the guy. Okay? Absolutely not. I get it. I've been there. What I will say about the OG is the age difference. Snow White is depicted as 14 years old and the prince is 31. That's weird. Okay, what are we doing on that? Disney, old Disney, like you couldn't have done like close to age range? Why is there big gaps of age between the characters? That is something she should have said. That is something she should have said. But anyways, yeah, Rachel Zegler got so much hate on that. And, you know, she tried to defend herself online. And even with, like, the release, because a lot of people didn't go and watch the film. Like, the theaters were empty. She was commenting, saying, like, I still win at the end of the day. Or some shit like that. And, again, not trashing on Rachel Zegler. It's just the way, yeah, just talking about this film was not received well from people. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
And very evidently so.
The second thing was, and I think it's a lot bigger than Rachel Zegler talking about the story of Snow White, is the controversial photo. There was a photo of behind the scenes of making Snow White of the 7 dwarves. They were average height people. And then there was one guy who has dwarfism. Everyone was really upset about this. Everyone was really upset about this. And I totally understand because in a way, these people who are supposedly the 7 dwarves are taking people's jobs who have dwarfism. You don't see people who have dwarfism a lot in films. Of course, they'll be here and there, but they're not a lot of the time. They're like the main character. People who have dwarfism in films, like they are a representation for people who have dwarfism. And the fact that they're taking that away, or taking away people's job who have dwarfism to play the roles, it's like, really? What are we doing? What are we doing? Cut to like a few months ago. In the trailer of Snow White, they CGI'd the 7 dwarfs in the end, which is funny. They're like,
we're already in production and we gotta get this film out. We have to CGI the 7 dwarves like the OG.
The last thing that's somewhat bad PR, somewhat not really, like this was somewhat discovered like a few months ago before the film came out, is Gal Gadot's acting.
Kalel, no.
Gal Gadot plays the evil queen in this film, but like people have been saying like she's in all these like blockbuster films, but she's not that great of an actress. And to be very transparent, right? She is a very beautiful woman. We can't deny that. But that's the reason why she's getting these roles. Okay, she's a very beautiful woman, but she can't act, y'all. If you're a Gal Gadot fan, sorry. Gal Gadot, we see her in clips of Wonder Woman. And she's yelling at Pedro Pascal's character, like, you have to give me the stone.
Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone. What happened to it?
Da-da-da-da-da. And then, I'm sorry, like, there's a scene of her where her mother dies. You think she's, like, crying, screaming, like, just in agony, in just, like, like, her mom just died, right? You think she's doing, like, an Oscar performance for this. No, she's literally like, no,
In therapy.
no. Right. We're gonna move on now to how I felt about this movie. Pros, cons, and overall thoughts. So yeah. During the movie, I wrote down like just comments and like the time stamp because why not? Gal Gadot's performance is good so far. I could somewhat see why they considered her for the part, because there will be times where in the movie her performances is like not bad, but then there was one in particular where the evil queen Gal Gadot is talking to the huntsman and telling him like, I want you to kill Snow White, and he's denying it, like he doesn't want to do it, and Gal Gadot's eyes was like crazy eye, like I can't do it. I can't recreate it. But it was like crazy eye. And she's like, what? And I just find that funny. And I will mention this, like when there's a bad delivery of a line or like somebody's making a weird face in the scene, I'm going to be saying like, they couldn't have done another take. They couldn't have done another take. You guys have the money, the time. You could have done another take of that scene. But you chose to do the actor dirty on that scene, on that footage. You're like,
we're gonna pick this footage, but in the movie.
Like, hello. Anyways, yeah, Gal Gadot's performance overall, it was okay. It wasn't amazing. Point blank period. Rachel's face while talking to the huntsman. When the huntsman and Snow White, Rachel Zegler, go to the woods, she's picking apples, he's about to kill her, and she finds out, he's explaining why. I kid you not, her face when he's like explaining what's going on, she's just like,
Me and the devil.
I'm not joking. I'm not delusional on that, okay? I could be delusional on other things. I can't. It was so funny. I'm like, again, you guys have the time and money. You guys have big company money that said yes to this film. Disney said yes, you could have done another take. Hello? Seeing that? It doesn't have, listen, I'm not saying like the scene could be amazing. It could just be good. Like it could be, like, okay, again, these people are doing the actors dirty by keeping that in. And like you're doing Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler dirty by keeping those scenes in. That is what I wrote. The CGI of the Seven Dwarves, bruh. So this is where they come in finally, and they're singing "Hi Ho," and this is where I'm going to talk about my conspiracy theory, because we see the CGI dwarves, and I thought, by the trailer, right, that's them. They like fired the controversial 7, right? No, the controversial 7 were in the film. And this is where I'm going to get into the conspiracy theory a little bit. So, the Controversy 7, right? We thought, or at least I thought, they weren't going to be in the film because of the controversial photo of them being the 7 dwarves, right? And then, the editors, the filmmaker, everybody decided that the CGI 7 dwarves, that was going to be them, right? And the controversial 7 were not going to be in this film. They were in this film. And you want to know how they were in this film? They played different characters. They weren't, again, the 7 dwarves or the controversial 7. They played the bandits and played Jonathan's friends. Who's Jonathan, you may ask? Jonathan is the love interest of Snow White, right? And you know how before this film ever came out or they ever filmed it, Rachel's like, oh, she's not going to fall in love with the prince. It's not going to be a love story. It was slightly a love story in the movie. So my theory is that with all the shit, with all the backlash that this film was getting, they had to change it. So they basically, and I wrote this in the movie, literally near the end, that Jonathan's character is basically Aladdin. Because you have a princess who's successful and, she is in royalty, but she likes a bandit. That is literally Jasmine and Aladdin. I found that very funny. And yeah, like the fact that they had to change because of that controversial photo makes sense. But if that was the original intent, Okay. I mean, okay. But allegedly, they could have changed it because of that photo. So that was my conspiracy theory on that. Also, just to talk about the Seven Dwarfs still and like the controversial seven. Martin Kleba, who was in Mirror Mirror, who played basically Grumpy in Mirror Mirror. They changed the names for the Seven Dwarves in that film, but he basically played Grumpy, like the leader. The fact that he was in Snow White, but he voice acted for Grumpy. I don't know. It's just like, again, it's funny because, again, they could have hired someone like Martin Kleba to play one of the Seven Dwarfs, but instead he's voice acting the Seven Dwarfs. One of them. Like, my overall thought is, movie was mid, and Rachel really thought the live action was going to be real different when really it's as same as every other live action out there. 4 out of 10. I'm lowering it down by 3.5 just because I wouldn't watch it again. Like, okay, it's good for obviously kids, right? It's literally a Disney film. But with the backlash and everything and them thinking they were going to be doing something different with this film, unfortunately it didn't make the cut. This movie gets a 3.5 out of 10 from me. It was okay. It was subpar. I just recommend either Snow White, the OG, or if you want, a live action of Snow White, watch Mirror Mirror. I thought Mirror Mirror was great. I absolutely loved it. I still love that movie. It's a really great adaptation of Snow White. Obviously, there's something different about it. There's some like campy stuff in that film, and it eats. It eats. The only con about that film is that Armie Hammer is in it. All I say is just when you're watching the movie, if he comes on screen, just do this. Who is that man? We don't know him. But anyways, that is my overall thoughts on Snow White 2025 film. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to keep up with this podcast on other social media platforms, I'm on IG and TikTok at Real Small Talk Podcast. Or if you want to keep up with my crafting content, IG, TikTok at Made by Moreo. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully my review is good. I don't know. I'm a little nervous, but I definitely want to keep trying to make more of these because I love talking about movies. Anyways, thank you guys. I'll see you very, very soon. Bye.